today's Zoom webinar. I am hoping my audio is coming in clear. Please give me a thumbs up utilizing the chat if you guys can hear me. I do have on the call my co-host and partner in crime, Julian. I'll let him introduce himself. I'm based out of California, so it's still a little early on my end, a little bit after 6 p.m. I do know that a lot of you are joining us from the East Coast or different parts of the world, so thank you for taking the time out of your night and trying to step up your Touchpix game, because we are going through some changes and we hope everybody loves what we're doing. So I'll let my co-host introduce himself. I also think we have Charles, who's also part of our team on the call. I'll let him introduce himself right after, and we'll jump in and get started. Julian?
Hey, thanks, DJ. Hey, everybody, this is Julian. I'm from Mexico. I live in Mexico. I'm part of the Touchpix support team since 2022. And I've been in the support area, doing some tutorials in the chats, in the calls when we had calls in the past. And also, I'm the one that do the quick tutorials. So nice to be here with you with this new user interface that I'm pretty sure that you will love, because it's gonna take your business to the next level. So thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, Julian. Charles, I see that you're on the call. You want to give a quick little introduce yourself? I know you're on the support team as well, and definitely I saw you jumped in.
Hey, what's up, D? Hey, Julian, DJ, how y'all doing? How's Touchpix family? I want to jump in, kind of see what's going on today. I know there's gonna be some really cool stuff going on. Thank you all for joining, as they said. And again, part of the support team. If you all ever need help, I'm Charles, and just reach out. I don't want to take anything away from the call. I just kind of want to see what's going on as well, and live it, love it, learn it, play with it. A lot of cool stuff. Thanks, DJ.
Sounds good. I also see Tia. Tia, you want to say a couple words? Tia's another person on our support team. Want to give her an opportunity to check in.
Hello, everyone. As DJ said, I'm Tia. Hi, Charles. Hey, Julian. Hey, DJ. And thank you all for joining this webinar. It's some really good stuff coming on the horizon for Touchpix, this new user interface. The development team really thinks this is going to be a fluid experience for our users. So glad you all are joining us, or the folks who will watch this later, to see what's coming on the horizon. Definitely, once it's launched, test, and reach out with any feedback directly to our support team. Those recommendations or that feedback is tracked, so you can we have 24/7 support. So whenever you use it, test it out, send us that feedback, and it goes right to our development team. But yeah, again, thank you for joining us tonight, and I'm going back on mute.
Thank you, Tia. And thanks everybody again for joining us. We are going to show a sneak peek of the beta release that we are currently using for testing purposes. So the plan is to hopefully have this released either late, somewhere between mid to late July. Please, we ask if you are a beta user, to provide the feedback that is needed. Again, that we're trying to do a fluid transition, but I do understand that some people may love it. Some people may not like it. We encourage for the people that don't like it to just express why. It is a little bit different. The user interface and the menus, I don't want to scare anybody. They are a little bit different, but however, everything is there as before. They're just labeled in separate places. The main reason for this is just makes this platform a more powerful platform for what's to come in the future. Quicker processing times, quicker access to some menus. The customization is very important, because now with this new release, we will be able to have a little bit more personalizations in your setups. For example, people were asking for maybe animated buttons. You're able to do animated buttons now. You're able to change your buttons to have logos of pictures of the bride and groom, or the Sweet 16, or whatever party goer may be you have the opportunity to present a more professional touch to this. So I am going to just play a quick little release video that we have been sharing on social media. Then I'm going to dive into the setup real quick. The setup is pretty identical. It's just the user interface is the only thing that's changing. There may be some tweaks to the back end setup and the way you set that up, but other than that, you know, we expect for people to be able to just jump on in and be able to share that experience. So I'm going to share this video. Hopefully people can see it. Is everybody ever able to see it? I just pressed play real quick. I just want to make sure it's working for people. I paused it. You guys able to see that? All right. I don't see any activity in the chat. I'm assuming it's a go, so I'm going to play it one more time. And all right, that was a quick little video of what's to come. I definitely interface. I'll have Julian also kind of jump in and show some of the button custom. You know, it's just a quick sneak peek of what's to come. I don't want to discourage anybody. I want people to kind of share their experience. When they start using it, this should be coming out for release again, hopefully mid to the end of July. But it won't be released until we get, you know, affirmation that everything is functioning everything's been functioning fairly well. There's still a little bit of tweaks that need to happen. That's why it's still in beta. Let me minimize that. And let's kind of go to the user interface. I'm going to go and share the user interface, but I got to scan into an event real quick. And let me do that now. If you have any questions regarding the video or just kind of want to see any specifics, please put them in the chat and we'll have people monitoring the chat. Yeah, so maybe it didn't have audio, it had audio on my end, but at least you guys can see the user interface. That's kind of what I see on the chat. So let me go into, I'm going to scan into an event. And then if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. There should be an inclusive webinar today where everybody's partaking and ensuring that we're supplying you with the information needed to be able to do that. Let me actually switch web pages. So I'm going to stop the share if I'm still sharing. And we're going to go into the web page where we need to go. For us right now, it's a little bit of it's a different web page, obviously, because our old system now is still functioning. So we haven't done the complete. So let me see. A little bit of a slow internet issue, probably because I have multiple devices logged in right now. Let me see if I can remedy that. Okay, I'm about to share a page again. Let me know when it comes up. Give me 1 sec here. Where are we at here with that? Okay, here we go. I'm hoping you guys are able. URL is a little bit different. Again, this is beta. I don't want people to get scared. This is the beta page. I had set up an event because I was playing with this a while back. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to edit this event. That way we don't see drastic changes. Essentially, what you're going to see on the app is kind of very similar to what you're going to see here on the web page. It's going to have a lot of prompts to kind of walk you through some of this transition. So the old system, you were probably used to setting up an event. It had a different format. It had more of a form format. This one still has that form format, except it gives you a little bit more customization. And what I want to say before I get into this is this customization is pretty rapid, meaning that whatever changes you make, if you have a live internet connection, refresh event like you did before, they happen immediately. As long as you have an active, good running internet connection. If you need to edit an event, you messed up on a button, you messed up on an overlay, some of these things you can fix on the device, or you can jump on your computer and make these changes, and it'll happen instantaneously as long as you have an active internet connection. To activate the devices, you will see a QR code like this event here. I'm just going to rename it. I'm going to call it 2024 demo webinar new UI, right? Language is still going to be English, country still US. App protection mode, that's essentially the QR code. So before, what we had was the QR app protection, meaning that if you did a drop off unit using Touchpix and you had you wanted to leave a drop off and you wanted to prevent people from logging into the backend settings, before you would utilize the event QR code. Now you have a choice either to disable that or maybe key in the passcode, which makes it a little bit more, it just makes it a little easier to kind of get in and dial in some of these settings. But you have those abilities now moving forward. And we're here just in the general tab. So these are now categorized. Now we're going to go down into sessions. This is going to be either if you're working with a photo booth session, a slum.
DJ,
everything's pretty similar to
we're missing
yes.
some audio from you. You are going out sometimes.
In and out?
Yeah.
I'm going in and out. Okay, let me see if I can plug in another microphone. But okay. Let me know, Julian, please monitor my audio. Just my internet might not be as, I guess I have like 3 or 4 different devices here, so I'm trying to see if it works. But please,
that's okay.
Jump in the chat if you can't hear, and we'll do our best with what we have, right? Okay, let's try. The general tab will have a general form that you fill out. It is categorized now. It's supposed to be fluid, supposed to be more to the point, where you have an easier time to access some of these menus. If we go down to sessions, you're going to have
you continue.
Those of you who do.
You continue going in and out.
Okay, let me switch over to a different microphone real quick. Bear with me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah, it seems that you are better now.
Want to make sure. I have my AirPods, but I'm just use those for playback. Okay, so let's go again to the main menu. This is a different website right now because it's not live. Give me a second. I'm getting a little bit of a delay. on the left-hand side, you'll see menus. You see where it says essentials. This is essentially your essential menu. The general, you'll name your event. You'll go through language. You'll go through country. And I'm going to re-explain this briefly. The app protection mode, for those of you that remember this, it used to be a checkbox box. And on this checkbox, now you have the option to either still do the QR code for app protection, meaning that no other person at that event can access. You'd have to scan the event QR code, or now you have a passcode that you can input and it can be disabled, right? And as we go down the list of sessions, it controls your countdown for video. For those of you who do boomerangs, video confession booths, or even slow-mo, the countdown for video is specifically identified here. And the countdown for photos is identified to your right. The beep sound is still there, meaning that for every second it counts down, you hear a little beep. That can be disabled or enabled. The mirror overlay preview, as it states, just flips a live view and overlay during the countdown. If this is on, your overlay may look like it has the mirror effect. Don't get discouraged. Your final output will be fine. Your live background, you're able to introduce your live background here. So for those of you who capture photos via iPhones or iPads, if you want to turn in your live view background and see what you're looking at, this only works with iPads, DSLR cameras. Does not work with GoPro since it doesn't have a live view background for the GoPro. As we scroll down, now we have the ability to record audio from the device. We get a lot of calls saying, hey, why can't I use the DJ's music in the background? Well, you're able to do that. We don't recommend you do that because you have no control over that sound. We don't want you to have distorted sounding videos or people laughing or people just having fun, but it won't sound like professional because it's going to come in at all levels. But you're able to record audio from your device. The flash screen. This has been there since the beginning of Touchpix. It just meant to emulate a flash if you're just using an iPad booth.
Let me get a bit more people here. And then finally, you have your idle lock screen, which can lock your screen during idle times, meaning that you're setting up early and you're going to leave your booth unattended for a bit. You can set up a lock screen and deactivate that through a passcode. Next, we have your session timeouts. This is where we do to input the values for sharing, right? If you want to allow people to input their emails or text messages, this is allow 8 seconds, 6 seconds. Give it a numerical value, that way they have enough time to input their information. If you're going to allow for editing, give it some numerical value as well, but if you're not, just leave it at 0. In my case, these are my custom values that I use. And maybe I like the thank you screen at 2 seconds, but typically I keep it at 2 or at 0, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing, I leave it at 2 seconds. If I'm doing a 360 video booth, I leave everything at 0 except for sharing. The attract screen, still the same. It allows you to have the attract screen. I think there's a minimum number of 20 seconds, meaning that if you are using it for a photo booth and people are not using it, maybe it's during toast or maybe it's during speeches, you can apply an attract video that plays back, and it just enhances the experience, makes people look in that direction. If it's a cool looking video, it'll play after 20 seconds of being idle. Or if you wanted to set it longer, you can obviously increase the time. Next, we have camera. It'll allow you to make your switches from front camera, back camera, GoPro, DSLR, or mirrorless cameras. So this is pretty self-standard here. Again, a lot of this is very similar, it's just organized a little different, where it's more fluid while you set up an event, right? It just makes you go through all the checks and balances. The trigger session, now for people who have certain 360s that are compatible with Touchpix, you can set up your motion trigger here instead of going through your phone. You can set up your 360 auto stop if you have a compatible 360. You can offset your start time by numerical value. And then again, this is through motion trigger. And now you're able to use a Bluetooth clicker. If you have like a Bluetooth clicker that supports and your machine has Bluetooth, you're able to do that. And we also have a web-based system where if you're doing a large event, a large scale, maybe you're going to have a computer out there and you're going to have people input their information. It'll supply them a QR code, and then they're going to walk over to the 360. They're going to show the camera the QR code, and it's going to start their individualized session. And once it's done, the system will automatically send it to them. That's been there. Not a lot of people use it, but it's been there, and we just now threw it in the trigger session as an option, right? Again, you can add a trigger background if you're using an external screen. This is the format that requires for that trigger background to be in place. Again, the trigger background is just on the interface of your iPad or iPhone or Android device, whatever you're using. If I scroll down to privacy, you'll have a little bit more control now, an independent place on just providing consent. A lot of European countries do require this, so this is kind of a big deal for a lot of users that are operating over in the UK. You know, it just kind of gives them the disclaimers to be able to disable uploads because of their laws and privacy laws that they have in place. So the biggest tab here that I want people to play with is the user interface customization. The app now has the ability from going from light mode to dark mode, right? And we're going to show some examples shortly of what that looks like and going live and things of that nature. You can now adjust your icon sizes, right? You can go from small to default. You can show the description if you wish of what's going on. Let me admit a little more people. I see people are showing up a little late. And then we have the navigation bars, right? Typically, if you remember the old app or the current app, the galleries on the top right, the settings menu tabs on the top left. Well, now we have kind of what's called a taskbar. The beta version doesn't show it transparent, but the release version is going to be, the header is going to be transparent. We want it transparent because we don't want to confuse people, or we don't want people to think that that cannot be customized. So we'll show an example of what that looks like as well. But for now, you're going to see a header, right? You will see a header, and we'll go over those steps shortly. You do have a sidebar that pops up in the event that you need to go into your settings page. We call it a show help bar. So you have the ability to turn that off or turn that on. So it's complete customization on your part. There may be a flow that you like to work with, and that we just encourage everybody to try those customizations. Now we're going to go down into photo functions, and this is where you're going to enable the photo feature. You can also enable this will tell the program or the app what experience we're working with, right? If we want to enable the AI or enable photo, this is where you actually start enabling some of these functions, right? GIFs, this is where you session, although right now the way it works is that the designer or the template is the one that controls the number of GIFs. So if you pick a 4-shot template, it'll it'll do 4 GIFs regardless of what this is currently in our system. So now hopefully by the time this is released, we can have this number control the GIFs, not necessarily the template. You can extend your animated GIF. Right now it's just set to default for 4 seconds, but if you want it a little longer, you can definitely extend it or reduce it, right? Again, for people that are doing photos, we are hoping, hopefully, I know there's been a user request of getting Snapchat-like features. This is something maybe that this system is going to be powerful enough to hopefully do in the future. And this is the reason why we changed our platform to just make it a more powerful system. So hopefully, if that happens in the future, I'm not sure if it's going to be used with photo editing, but I would make sense to put it under that category if we get there. But for now, you can use our editing tools, which allow you to draw on the pictures, allow you to post virtual props in the post. I personally don't use it because I think it takes a long time for the user to kind of move on from it, especially if you're doing maybe 2 or 3 hour events. You don't want to tie up your booth significantly with one guest. So I turn it off, but if it's something that interests you, right? We scroll down now, it's going to go through photo effects. And now we can add our effects, right? This is where we can add our beautifier, our black and white filter, our glam. We can add whatever effects we want on the effects board. And we toggle over to background. Now we can actually start using some of these virtual backgrounds. You'll be able to upload new backgrounds here. They will still have to be either JPEG or PNG files format to be able to work. And we always recommend, depending on the template that you're working with, if you're uploading new backgrounds, we always recommend that you size these backgrounds to the template that you're working with. That'll work out best for you. I just want to do another sound check. I did get another alert saying that my sound is continuing to go in and out. Is that still the case, or is that an old?
Somebody's going here.
Maybe a few minutes ago. Okay, sounds good. So this is the settings for the effect background settings, and you'll be able to tap into the settings, and you can randomize your custom backgrounds for each photo, randomize them for all of them. You can select a certain background or define it. So you have complete customization going this way. And again, this is an awesome tool because now it brings the ability for you to not show up with a backdrop, right? I think in my experience, it works best for people who are using iPads with good lighting, or using a DSLR or a mirrorless camera or flash. From those experiences, because you do need proper lighting again, and that's something that you're going to need that's outside our software or our control. As I scroll down, I'm going to go down to the photo overlays. We can now go into Designer. I apparently don't have one done here, but you can go into Designer, similar how you would go into Designer from the regular mode that we're using now, and you'll be able to create your overlay or upload your new overlay. So I'm not going to cover that because it's still the same Designer. I want to hopefully return back to editor. Let me go back. Okay, so now we're going to go down into video functions. This is where people who are utilizing our software for slow-mo, this is the same form, presented a little different. And you're going to enable slow-mo. If you want to enable like the video confessionals, this is the video mode. If you want to enable boomerangs, this is where you would enable the animated GIFs. This needs to be enabled. So this multi-videos, I believe, is something new. I haven't seen it before, at least on my end. So definitely, if you have the opportunity to test it out, that'd be great. It allows the guest videos in the same section. You can set the values here for how long that needs to happen, if that's what you want to do. Your slow-mo recording time, this is where it exists. Typically, it's set for 3.5. I think that now the app used to set it for 4.5, so I'm not sure why it dropped 1 second on here. And again, this is the beta mode, so Slow-mo recording, make sure that if you want the boomerang act to the on position. If you don't want the boomerang action, just toggle it off, right? This relates to the actual boomerangs, not necessarily to the slow-mo boomerangs. So don't get them confused. Slow-mo boomerang is not the same as boomerang session. Slow-mo boomerang pertains to the slow-mo function and only the slow-mo function. The boomerang function is a video function that you would do typically for photo booths. If you would select your boomerang bounce duration, 2 seconds is fine. Boomerang speed, you can speed it up or slow it down to your liking and how many times you want it to repeat. Same thing with the GIF, animated GIF. You can customize the frames and kind of go from there. You can give it a second value, 2-second value. And the stabilization, this is strictly for Android only. I think Android, it's an ongoing development with Android because it works a little bit different than iOS. So we're able to give it a little bit more stabilization on the Android device, right? Now, as we go over to video output, you can do compression. When I do 360s, my experience, because I know that I have decent internet at these locations, I actually turn off compression because I want the highest quality. But if you don't have high upload speeds, I do recommend you go with either high quality or ultra high quality if you don't have fast internet speeds. If you do, then you want to turn this off and you're basically eliminating any compression. You'll get the highest quality. And it's allowed you to format. I don't think a lot of people have used that. Is to custom size. Say you want your videos to reach a custom size of maybe 35 megabytes, right? You can set your own size in quality that you're comfortable with. I will say that my videos that are done in non-compression format sometimes reach up to 53 megabytes, so they're pretty large videos. But if you have a sweet spot, you're able to set that on your own and kind of work with that. So that's a great thing to see here. If we go into the bottom section, the video effects, as you can see, this has changed a little bit. I think this is probably what will take people a little bit of time to play with, to get comfortable with, because you're so used to looking at the timeline. And this video effects here, you can add a pre-roll, which means the animation video before the video. And their post-roll, you can add it here by selecting the plus sign. It'll say where is that located. Before, it was you were only able to add it from that device, your recording device. Now you're able to do it from the back end, which is great. Because now you have complete control and oversight of how that's going to look, right? Aside from that, you can apply your effects. Make sure that if you're doing slow-mo, it's highlighted here right down below under slow-mo. If you're doing video or any other type of video, then you're applying the effects to the appropriate experience. So we can add an effect here. You can add numerous effects. You can see where the jump cut is, and it still has a little bit of a timeline that you can play with. That way you know where exactly it's going to be, right? Because it's my jump cut is here, my collage is here, my fade is up here. You're knowing that they're separate. They're not all going at the same time. Now I see that there's a big gap here. I can close down the gap by just moving it to the left, right? And say changes, and now it's closer to applying the collage effect right after the black fade, and that'll probably go into normal video, then it'll do a jump cut, or I can adjust the jump cut and make it closer to the effects and so forth, right? So again, this is just stuff that you're going to have to play with. There is a question in the chat saying when does a new UI go live? And the new UI is going to go live. The plan is for it to go live somewhere in mid to end July. Right now, there's not a set date. that we are currently beta testing. So depending on everything working as it should go live sometime next month. If there's something that's preventing it from going live, we'll let people know in our social platforms and give you a definitive answer. I think from what I understand for people, I don't want people to get alarmed because I do know that this looks like a good new system. I don't want people to be alarmed. It is going to be going live hopefully within the next month, but there's going to be a short period of time where you're going to be able to revert back to the old style software, but that's not going to be around forever. So we still, according to the developer, there's a plan to have a revert old app method in the event that people are struggling with this new user interface. But the user interface, I think, is going to come with people actually taking the time to apply their presets or apply their knowledge onto how to set up an event. As you can see, the user interface does look different, but it's not going to be much different from what it was before, in the sense of like all the functions are now going to be in both places. It can be here via web page, or you can actually maneuver them through your app. And we're going to showcase how the app's going to look a little bit further down this webinar. So there is going to be a buffer period for people that may struggle with it. So when we go to video overlays, again, it'll take us to our designer. People know what our designer looks like. Nothing's changing on the designer outside of that. So you'll be able to create, upload some of the designs there. So nothing is different from that outside of what it is now. If we go to the TV functions, now we are going to have the option to, it's what you see on your phone now. You're going to be able to showcase a vertical TV if you have it in a vertical orientation, or if you don't, you're just going to uncheck it. And sometimes people set it a certain way and it's not the correct vertical orientation. They may need to go orientation to the right, and that should fix the issue right away. Nothing too different displayed right now with the external session. You can do short replays, that way it doesn't play the entire video, or you can disable and let the video play. You can skip the replay if you don't want to showcase the replays. Personally, I like the replays for the slideshow purposes. Again, live view, you're able to do live view on DSLR or mirrorless cameras that support it. Most of them do. You can do live view from iPads or iPhones. That means it's a live recording. It does not do live view from a GoPro. It's just not possible with the current GoPro state. GoPros are a little, they're just not able to provide the live view options. Slideshow time, you can control the slideshow. You can set, your videos either for 30 seconds or lower. So now you get a little bit more flexibility. You have the option for a photo carousel on the bottom, or in this case, a video carousel. If you're playing videos, it'll just show thumbnails at the bottom with QR codes. If you have an active internet connection, you'll see a QR code. If you don't have an active internet connection, you're going to see probably a cloud logo down there. But you have the options to activate it on or off. So this is all stuff that you're able to do now. It's just laid out a little bit different in our user interface. Company logo or event logo, as I call it, you can, this is something that you're able to do now. You can definitely add that. Our software has custom animations by default. You can enable the animation. Some people like them, some people don't like them. You're able to take the animations away. For people that are a little bit more advanced, if you want custom animations, you can definitely find them here by following a step-by-step tutorial, cut and paste here. You can download them off our Touchpix website. If you go over to the support downloads, you'll see a default folder that's a zip file, and it has all the animations in a zip file. They're called sequential PNG. So as long as you replace your new files in the same, easier to customize your own animations if you wish. This is a little bit more of an advanced setting. So if you want to play around with it, by all means, play around with it. Talk to us in support. We can assist. but they are sequential PNGs at this time, and I would recommend for the PNGs to be as small as possible. You may have to use a third-party app, which if you visit this tutorial, it's going to walk you through what is needed, but it's very cool if you're able to upload them from that point on. So you can upload selected files as well here, and the way you upload them is via zip file. So if you look at our website under downloads, support downloads, you're going to see animation. It's a zip file. Whatever new files you upload, make sure it's a zip file. That way you can grab that zip file and replace it and put it in here as well. And that's going to upload it. So now we're down to the printing section, right? You either going to select, you're not printing, maybe you're just doing digital only. If you're printing, this will give you the same connection. Depending on how you're connecting, you can free print server app that came out with the software way back in 2020. If that's the way you want to print, you can still do air print if you wish. You need to select manual air print. You can select print every session if that's what you wish. Their new style of printing, which I would recommend for people to use, would be our PrintPix box. It is proprietary to our software, but that PrintPix box is just a powerful tool in the sense that I think moving forward, there's some big plans with that box becoming also a sharing box. So you can share your videos or your pictures without the need of any internet connection. It'll just streamline it to that box and people will have access to it in the future. But for now, people who use PrintPix are going to be able to connect to their printers. Either we call it a wireless method in the sense of that you do have to connect to a PrintPix wireless network. And the PrintPix box has the ability to log into a backend web page where you're able to bridge to send out your text messages or Wi-Fi network available around, right? The way I use PrintPix.
You start going in and out again. So maybe you can repeat the last part of this because we missed the.
Yeah, so PrintPix again is PrintPix, the PrintPix box connect to the PrintPix box using a wireless network. The wireless network then, once you connect to it, you'll be able to connect to the box through a web page that opens up the back end for the box. Bridge a Wi-Fi connection so you can additionally, from printing, it'll allow you to send out your SMS text messages or your emails. The way I like to use it is through a wired connection. We say this is because we've been part of the Touchpix team for supporting for quite some time. So we also do the trade shows, and sometimes when we do trade shows, we're dealing with thousands of people. Whenever you get a room with thousands of people, wireless connections are not as they're not as stable as people may think, right? Despite you seeing strong bars, they're just not. So I make it a practice for myself, and I encourage everybody to hopefully at least make an attempt at a wired connection. It's only like a $25 to $35 investment. Box will always be connected and not have any issues. You can use the wireless method as a backup like I do, or you use it wireless anyways, but I'm just sharing my personal experiences with my events. I have never had a wireless connection issue or wired issue printing with the PrintPix box. On one occasion, I just wasn't able to connect wirelessly, so I reverted to wired. And it was based on the fact that it was an outdoor event and it was a festival type of event. And there was a lot of people around. So PrintPix box worked great when I was testing. When I brought it back home, it worked great wireless, but in that specific moment, you're going to want something in your toolbox to be able to execute your game plan. So always recommend a wired method. You just have to invest. If you're using a USB-C iPad, get a USB-C Ethernet dongle with USB and charging pass-through, right? If you're using the old Lightning iPads, I recommend you get the appropriate adapter with the Lightning, Ethernet, USB, and charging pass-through as well. So definitely give it a try, and I think you guys will be successful in that. So either way, you're able to connect. You can either choose your paper size on the printer brand and the available media that you're printing. You know, if you're using a 620 and you want to print maybe strips, typically PrintPix will auto detect. But if you're using some other type of printer that may need to set these specific to certain media, 4x6, I know there's some people that have had success with 5x7s as well. So, you know, depending on what your printer is available to do, you can definitely play with the media size and things of that nature. The limit for extra prints, you can always set that as well. Again, if it's an automatic paper selection, if it's a DMP branded printer, I believe the DMP and the high teens are the ones that automatically detect. Not too sure about Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi does work, but I don't know if it auto detects the paper size on that. So our PrintPix box is compatible with about 95% of the sublimation printers that are out there for the photo booth industry. You get a lot of calls saying, hey, can I use my Canon selfie? Yes, you can use your Canon selfie. Do we recommend it? Absolutely not, because it's a very slow printer. It takes way over a minute for it to print. But we understand that a lot of people need to start somewhere, and perhaps a sublimation printer is not in your budget, and that's something that they start. So explore a sublimation printer. It does work via the Canon selfies. You don't need a PrintPix box for that. You can actually print via AirPrint or through Wi-Fi Direct, but definitely it does support that. You can set a limit to the prints. You can add margins, or if you're printing just a margin box, and that will help, right? If some printers may print brighter than others, depending on your color spectrum. I'm not a fan of adjusting printer settings from the actual default settings on the printer, so we try to kind of give tools for people to adjust their contrast or their brightness to their liking without having to go into their specific printer firmware, printer settings, right? So definitely these are great tools. Again, like I mentioned, PrintPix and SharingBox, at one point they're going to be merging forces. So if you invest in a PrintPix box, you're going to have a SharingBox, which is going to essentially going to be the new upgrade for ScanPix, right? No longer will you need to buy an external router. It'll be done with one same device, and you'll be able to accomplish offline sharing rapidly and effectively. So that's great. Again, this is for current offline sharing that we have with a specific router that you purchase. I recommend Wi-Fi 6. For people that don't know about ScanPix, we have a lot of resources on YouTube that explain step-by-step how to set up ScanPix. And we encourage that you at least look into offline sharing, especially if you are using Touchpix and using the uncompressed file mode where you're sharing file sizes of perhaps 50 megabytes or 60 megabytes, depending on how big. So I love that about Touchpix, that you're able to show off the quality, specifically if you're shooting high quality videos. The sharing methods are here now at the bottom. Maybe these need to be moved up a little bit further up in the workflow, but for now they exist here. Email, AirDrop, QR code. This is all what's going to be applied for sharing purposes. If you're not using WhatsApp, if you're not using email, then you're going to uncheck them, and those are not going to appear for the guests, right? But if you're going to be using QR, AirDrop, and SMS text, these are the sharing options that you're going to have. Again, you're able to input your email subject. You know, you can customize these. Please follow some of these instructions. I know there's in the past there were some issues with text messaging, supplying at signs. So just follow some of these instructions. That way you avoid being red flagged, and if you follow these instructions, your delivery of your SMS content is very near 100%. If you start putting extra characters or doing the complete opposite with these instructions, then that's when you hit some roadblocks, right? You'll need to share them a little bit later, probably. Again, this gives the web gallery, the new interface is going to supply so much more powerful features, not only with the analytics, not only in being able to change the buttons from static buttons to animated buttons. There's certain people that sell what are called APNG buttons. So they're moving animated buttons for your photo experience, or you'll be able to upload your own type of button. So just be mindful that these here with the web gallery sharing, these are going to appear now on the web gallery if they're needed. We now offer, we've offered Google Drive and Dropbox, but we offer, which is something, it's not exactly new, but a lot of people don't know about it because it was offered or added towards the later part. Now we offer a way where people can actually upload these live. So after a session and you have Dropbox or Google Drive, if you want to upload it to the cloud, you can do that now live, right? So you have the ability to tap into a Dropbox folder. And maybe a lot of people don't understand how powerful that makes it, because now not only can you share within Touchpix, maybe there's other things that you want to use to showcase, like maybe a slideshow that operates online through a certain third-party app. Now having the ability to locate your Dropbox folder, you can throw your slideshow somewhere else completely. That doesn't have to be near your recording device or your photo booth device. So a lot of different things that you can do now with the live uploads. So please encourage to play with that if that's something that interests you. Bluetooth devices now, these are the brands that we currently work with in the sense of the 360s, and some Mobi Booth is up there for their photo booths. So OrcaView, I think it's pronounced Akatech, Mobi Booth, and Desentech. They all have a Bluetooth module that are compatible with Touchpix. They've been in communication with our developers, and they've allowed us to gain access to their Bluetooth modules to control maybe the starting of a recording of the 360 video, where the arm, as soon as you press record, the arm starts spinning. As soon as the recording stops, the arm stops automatically because it's controlled through the app via Bluetooth. So we always have this quick stop button. I use this a lot to test some systems. Maybe somebody will have like an Alcatech that I'm not too familiar with, and they want to see if it works. Through the support channels, I'll have them activate this. It enables a kind of like an invisible button that they can test. It's pretty practical just for testing purposes, but some people like it as an emergency stop button, and that also works as well if you activate this. Yeah, so let's go down to marketing now. So marketing and branding. Again, you can add your logo. You can any type of logo. As soon as you click on it, it'll give you the parameters of what's needed, and it'll give you the size of what's needed. So definitely look at that, play with that, and see how that works. So the designer will always be managed through our web page, and you'll have branding abilities through there. You're also able to access the designer via the app or the mobile web page. Is what I meant. Let's go down to app branding. Again, this is what that specific event logo is. It'll appear, typically it appears like on your thank you screen. It appears in multiple places. Sometimes if you're using an external TV, it'll appear, if you're doing a slideshow, it'll appear on the top center. It'll be that logo there. The background screen is what's going to appear either on back of your iPad. It's basically your start screen, right? Same thing for 360. You can customize these. In my case, I have a generic start screen that I created, kind of going from there. You can set specific landing screen or box. You can make it say graduation. You can make it say, you can customize your buttons now for any type of event, or you can come add your own. So these are just some of the presets that Touchpix allows you to activate. And we'll go from, that's the landing screen. This is the countdown. It'll allow for the thank you as well. So it gives you different options. As far as the start screen goes, you're gonna have the icons. You know, people want them different colors. People want to change colors of the icons. If you click any of these, you can actually change the color codes depending if you guys are familiar with Canva, Photoshop, Photopea, whatever you guys use to design, and you need an exact color. You just need the hex code. You're just going to type in your hex code, and it'll match whatever color you're trying to achieve, or use any of the default settings that we have, right? So you can do that either for the icon text, menu, background, button block. Same thing now with the fonts, right? You can change the font. Now where it says photo, you can make it look a little different by changing some of the fonts, and we have some custom fonts that you're able to utilize. If you want to add your own design, this is where it's at, the app branding, right? I have some stuff loaded that I was just playing with just to test and see how it looked. And yes, you're able to make certain designs, whether they are your JSON files, PNG files. 5 megabytes is the maximum, and you're able to allow to upload them for your video experience, photo experience, any experience that you activate. And you can also change the button colors if you're not satisfied with what you have.
DJ,
and
in that part, remember that if you, for instance, has a color, you can make it a little bit more transparent by tapping on the button that it says default. So the color can be a little bit transparent also. So it's one of the new stuff that you can do over there.
Yeah, one of the new features that you can add, you can make it a little bit more transparent if, you know, depending on what your design looks like or how you want to create that design, you're just given more options to be able to customize it, more personal photo booth look. As we go down, we have different, you're able to customize now your countdown screens. It doesn't have to be the Touchpix countdown. If you have somebody that can create these animations for you, again, you can definitely have the animations can fade in, fade out, zoom in. You can do your own thank you screen. Some of these are PNGs and JPEGs. So it's going to give you a lot more options, especially your attract screen. If you recall, the attract screen is something I feel not a lot of people use when your photo booth is on idle. Maybe you can set, earlier on I showed where you can set the timing on that. You know, maybe if it's on idle for about 60 seconds, because people are doing toasts or people are doing their speeches. At weddings, you can upload an attract screen of the bride and groom, and that'll click on every time the photo booth is left on standby for about 60 seconds, or you can control the actual time before it kicks on. The cloud gallery, this is your public gallery. This is where you can actually give access to the public gallery by clicking here. You'll see your galleries. So this is the gallery page that you would see on our normal interface. Now, the powerful stuff here is the analytics right below. It'll give you more analytics, more control of analytics, depending on what's being shared, right? Whether it's SMS texting, downloads, you'll have the analytics. It'll capture, you know, emails and text messages, and it'll point them like it does now. But now it's, you know, now it works a little. I think this is a cleaner look to now, because you will see if people are sending SMS text messages, which number is associated to what video or what picture, and you'll be able to quickly identify that. Versus now, I think you have to dig around and kind of try to try to see where they match. Again, this can categorize it depending on time, session, date. So you have a little bit more user control through that. Web gallery, let's see. Yeah, the web gallery, it'll say how many were downloaded, how many times were emailed or uploaded, or it'll give you more data. This is a blank gallery now. Right now, I don't know if Julian, you're ready to showcase the buttons and the live effect. Is that something you're ready to do? I'm not sure if I gave you the permissions. Let me make sure. And he will show kind of like what that event will look like and how quickly the transitions or changes are made. Because it's new, I know it's a little different, but ultimately with
DJ, actually,
it's a little bit of plain.
I'm watching that you're having that kind of error in the website, and I want to show the live changes, but the
No,
thing
I have these errors because I was activating and deactivating as I was going through. Let me stop sharing this, and then I'll make you I'm gonna make you a host if you're not already one. Let me see.
yeah, because I'm having something like that. You know, I'm trying to make changes in the website and it's not responding right now in the app. I don't know if the server is, you know, having some errors right now because it's not reflecting my changes in the app right now. I don't know if you can try to simulate, because maybe it's something that you're experiencing now.
Let me try it on my end. I had something kind of semi-ready for this, just in case, but let me see what I can do. I do see my event, and I just want to show people what I'm going to scan into it and kind of go from there. Give me 1 second.
So something that maybe we need to comment is that if you create your event using your phone web browser, maybe like Safari or Chrome, there's a button in the website that it says activate on this device. So you don't need any more to scan from another device. You don't need any more to scan from and screen capture or screenshot. You can directly tap on that button, and the app will get the signal from the website, and it will be activated on that phone and on that device. So that is something new also, that it's very good, because you don't need, you know, a screen capture or to send you the photo from another device or to scan from another device. It's quite easily to activate using one single device. That's something really cool in the new interface.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do this live, so bear with me. Okay, it's not gonna be perfect, but just kind of bear with me because I got a lot going on my side here, and I downloaded a new version of the app just for you to show kind of the whole process. So just bear with me and see if I can show you guys through a handheld phone camera. Let's go with that. All right. Okay. Disregard my clutter in the back, but I downloaded the app. Let me turn off the lights real quick, and maybe I'll help some of the glare at least. Okay, here we go. So I downloaded the app. Again, you give it full permissions like anything else, right? Can ask you for full permissions, and this is because I have a developer mode. So the app is going to look like this, right? It's still going to allow you to test. It'll give you a bunch of videos on how to activate an event if that's what you want to do, right? It'll give you a lot of documentation, kind of like a knowledge base that's integrated with the app now, for people that need a little bit more information on how to get the settings correctly. Again, you're going to be able to get the subscriptions through the app as well. In my case, I'm going to activate an event. For the purposes of this tutorial, because I'm sharing the screen, obviously my main screen has the camera and I can't see the QR code. So I'm going to activate an event. I'm going to allow for the camera to be activated. Let me see here. Let me see, turn it back around. Maybe I'm covering the camera. Give me 1 second here while I take it off the mount. Okay. So I took the picture of the QR on my other phone so you can see that, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the activation. It says it recognized it. It's gonna be a little difficult for me to show the live changes, I think. So give me a second when I mount it again and kind of we'll go from there.
Maybe you can share that screen if you have Zoom there.
You know what? Yeah, I can definitely do that. Let's
That will
toggle
be much
away
better.
from this then. And let's toggle away from this. All right. Let's see. I believe it's there, right? It's there. You should switch over real quick. Okay, so I switched over. Sorry, I got a lot going on, like I said. So again, this is going to be the app. You know, what I meant about the top is I don't like that banner up top, but that's just my personal preference. I'd like to hear more feedback on people about that banner on top or user interface. That I believe upon release should be transparent. So you're not going to see a color of a banner, but as soon as it releases, it'll have the option to have these transparent. I'm going to go ahead and click on settings, right? Because you're going to have access to how it looks, right? So if I go to settings and I go over to user interface, I can actually go from light mode. Maybe I want to go over to dark mode now, and it changes the dynamic of how that looks. I guess I didn't save it, but let's go back into user interface, dark, confirm. Yeah. So again, even though it's black, I feel there's a little bit of a delay. Okay. Even though it's black, I feel like that's not what I want to present my, you know, my specific scenario with boothing. I want it to look a little cleaner. So you're able to go into utilizing the user customization. You can actually disable the header if you want, right? If I go back, there's not going to be a header anymore, right? So it cleans out whatever the name of the event used to be, unless you like the way it looks. Specifically going back into user interface, I can either disable the gallery, disable settings. You'll be able to do a lot of these from the app itself. You don't need to log into a computer. These will be transparent. You'll be able to change the color of the icons if that's what you wish in the future. This is my start screen of something that I did very, very generic. And I think on this one, I don't think let's go into photo functions. Let's enable photos. That way you can see what that looks like. And let's go and enable, yeah, let's just do photos for now. So I was playing with the versions of picking my own icons, and I just kind of downloaded a free file. In this case, it's the AI file, right? So that is my icon there. So it just gives you an idea of what I have going on. If I wanted to upload a different type of button, I don't have any of the APNG animated buttons yet. I'm about to get some from a designer and see if I can put those to use. That was a feature that was just added, I believe, within the last week. So I haven't had a chance to obtain some of those buttons. But if I go into photo function and enable AI, I'm just going to enable stuff that way you guys can see what type of buttons I was working with and kind of go from there. Let's go over to user interface again. And maybe let's go over to the video is where I want to go. All right, let's go to the video functions. I'm just going to enable some of these. And that way you guys can see, I just, put a picture of a bulldog and a cat. This is just, again, for demo purposes. You can create your own icons on Canva and label them. Maybe the bulldog, I can put a font up top that says slow motion. Maybe that cat logo, I can put boomerang. But this is just me grabbing generic icons, being able to just try how the customization is going to look. So if I press the bulldog, which I just did, I guess that's my boomerang feature maybe. And it's recording again. I'm just waving my hand. It'll process. So the customization process is going to be, it's going to be really up to you on how you're going to want to extract some of these buttons. Again, this is just, I guess that was the slow-mo, right? That was the slow-mo section. And again, if you look at the bottom icon, they're a little different. You're going to be able to customize some of those as well. If this is something that you're not going to want to mess with or leave them as default, then that's how it's going to look. Again, this is the app, how it's going to be showcased. It's going to be hard for me to show you currently the live updates, but if I were to go, let me try to do it. I'm going to minimize my Zoom. Let me see. Let me try to do it here. Maybe you guys can see while I'm still sharing that screen. If I go into my events and I want to do like a live change on something, maybe I'll do, let me look at the bottom here. So far, while I'm doing this, let's get some feedback. What do you guys think? Be honest with what you guys are looking at. I know it's new, so let it process for a bit. Is this something that seems pretty easy? Is this something that may seem a little challenging? We're throwing a lot at you for just kind of being an overview of what the new interface is going to look at. So just be mindful of that as well. Feel free to input the chat or unmute yourself if you guys want to share. Anybody? Don't be shy.
We are open to any comments.
Comments, anything you guys want to see. Again, this is an app that's made for you. We would love for the users to have some input on something that maybe they don't like, something they may want to change, or the flow, maybe bring a new point of view that we haven't showcased.
So this is what like our customers will see, that dark, which I know you said you can make it transparent, but they'll see that dark.
Correct. And you'll be correct.
The dark like bar on top. That's
we're going to make it transparent. We could actually even eliminate that. So look, I'm going to go live from the computer, and I'm just going to take off the gallery. Right? You guys are not going to see me like touching the iPad or anything. I just took off the gallery now, and see how the gallery disappeared. It didn't even take me to refresh the event. I'm going to take off the settings, and I'm just going to make it a full page, right? And kind of go from there. But remember, thing is that if people need to go into certain of these settings, it has a hidden menu on the side. With this, I'm not going to do because I do have it active on the computer. But if I were to scroll with my finger from left to right, that menu pops up. So you'll be able to access that menu. If you want to leave it hidden, I would imagine first, because people are not going to know about it till you get a good feel for the app. That way you can have quick access to any of the setting items you need to have, right? Whether it be a camera connection, whether it be a sharing, any of the user interface. If I want to activate it from the app again, the gallery, I just go in here and hit show gallery, right? Header or show settings. And if I exit out, I'm to that page. But I'm waiting for that page to be released with transparency. That way it makes it more for the user, because I like my start screens to be very clean. And, this is how I believe when it gets released, it's going to be transparent, because we've had made some internal suggestions And I don't like the dark mode. I don't like the light mode. I don't like the way it looks. And we made, hey, give the users transparent as a default and let them decide whether or not they want a black header or they want to change the header color to something else.
Okay. Will you be able to move the icons, like the picture, boomerang?
Yeah, you'll be
Video?
to a certain size. I was just playing with random sizes, so you'll be able to locate them depending on the sizing that you have. We're going to release a little bit more notes on how that's going to work. But right now, we can actually move them based on size. So you can make them smaller. I think that is the default size. That
Yeah.
still needs to get reworked.
Actually, we have two ways to put the buttons. One is in row, that is the one that you have in the screen.
Mhm.
Okay, and the other will be a circular path. So that will be for now the way that you can have the icons on the screen. Okay. This is in the latest version. I don't know if you have it, maybe you can go there and show it on the screen.
I think I have the latest version. I just
Yeah, it's in
downloaded this.
Yeah, because in the last version, you have it on their app branding.
Yeah, it's gonna be done here. Big buttons. So here under app brand, the button text and font. So this is what you can control, right? You see the circular path down below? If I were to tap on that, are you able to see that, or is there a little delay?
Yeah,
We can see it.
Okay, so yeah, so you'll be able to showcase them differently, which will allow you to actually design your start screen differently if that's what you wish. And you can position your buttons as well. The positioning, whether it be row or circular path. I know there's a different option here under, let me see here, app branding, under font styles. It will also allow you, I don't have fonts on there now, but if I were to have fonts, I can definitely use any of these default fonts that go with. If I were to have the default buttons located, you should see the changes. Let me see if I can remove them. And then you have, yeah, so these are generally the buttons that I'm using. I should have probably uploaded a better example, but let's go with reset to default. Perfect. We're resetting to default here. These are generally the button areas that you're gonna grab, and then we can go into let's look at the fonts here. That way you can see the fonts. This is your circular path. If you want a circular path, you could assign it differently. And maybe you want, well, in this case, it doesn't apply for that. Go with default. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. But you can also change your buttons as far as, let me go down there and do it from the computer. It's easier for me to navigate. Just so you guys can see the live changes. So let me see. If I wanted to change the color of the buttons, right now it's at default, but maybe I want them pink. I'm doing this on the computer and it's doing it all live, right? So it's a live interface and you can apply the changes to any of the colors that you want, right? You prefer, it's just giving you more flexibility to actually brand your product to the event that you're working. So I'll put them back at default, but I can show you that it'll do the icon if you want the icon, and it'll actually do the back square if that's also what you want. And you can customize these however you want, but essentially it's really going to take some time to play with these new effects and see how these buttons are going to interface with your setups and your workflows and your creations. Again, I'm using just a generic start screen that I use if I were to use this. And I made that start screen for the current version of Touchpix that's in the app store now. So I have everything aligned for that. Now with this new interface, it's just going to take a little bit of manipulating to make sure that my buttons are in alignment, everything looks good, and you can brand it exactly to your creative side. So any other questions regarding this interface? What do you think? Yay, nay? What? I want some insight from the user base. Is it a little too much for you guys right now? Do you guys need to sit on it and think about some of these changes or play around with it for yourselves before you guys kind of come up with your own conclusion? Because it is coming out. We just want to make sure that people are aware of it and people are going to use it. And if there's a different workflow that works best for an overall majority, we'd like to hear about it. That's why it's currently in beta, and it's not exactly perfect now, but it's going to get a lot better. It just gives us a more powerful app. It's going to give us faster processing times. It'll just give us more user interface, a quicker user interface for modifications, right? Whether you want to brand it a certain way, whether you want to represent some of the effects that you throw on now from, it gives you more flexibility from the web platform to throw on your outros instead of doing it from your phone, to throw on your audio in many different areas. It'll still have the same user capabilities as before, but it's just laid out completely different in a sense that we're trying to systematically categorize where you have access to, like your camera, where you have access to your functions, to your effects. It makes it visually pleasing doing it this way.
Yeah, I want to mention something about one of the advantage of this is that any change that you do in the app or in the website is reflected directly in the other part, in the other side, okay? And this, for instance, if you are having issues or something like that, and you need to delete and restore the app, all the setup, including the effects and everything that you previously did in the app, okay, will be saved automatically. So when you reload the event, the information will be there. So you don't have to reload effects. You don't have to reload information about maybe your Touchpix router and stuff like that. Everything will be, in the event. If you are having internet, everything will be there. And as soon as you load the event again, the information will be there. So, because right now, if you were having issues and you need to delete and restore because you were having a bug, all the people knows that you were losing all the setup of your effects and you will have to do it again. With this new user interface, that will be, that will not be a problem. You will have it back it up. So that's really good.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, what he's saying is presets, ability to save presets. So there's a lot of people that had an extensive amount of presets onto their 360 videos, and it was a drag for them to load them each and every single time you had a different event. Say you had a preset that you love to use, and you just didn't like the redundancy of having to load that every single time for all your events. So now you'll be able to save a preset, name it as a preset, load it as a preset, and you're done, right? Same thing with the ability of how people copy their events, right? Even though they close out an event, maybe that event worked out perfectly for them. They'll do a copy event. All the settings get applied. You just change your artwork. Everything else remains the same in the sense of like photo settings, maybe slow-mo settings, the recording time, the outro, things of that nature. It just makes it a little easier instead of you having to manually do that for every single event.
Will we be able, because I do that all the time, just copy events because I liked my settings. When we start the new user interface, are we gonna be able to copy from the old one? Does that make sense? Or do I need to go in and like write down all the settings that I have at the moment?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to defer to the development team. I'll definitely give them a call or talk to them tomorrow. And that's a good question. That's a very good question. And I'll definitely take notes on that because it is handy for people that already have their system in place.
Yeah.
It'd make it easier for sure. Perfect. I do see a question on the chat. Any talks of changes to the live view when using DSLR, dark and zoomed in? So I want to take a moment to answer that, because every camera presents, connects differently with our app, right? We know that from experience, some of the cameras, specifically right now, I'll just say compare Canon. I'll compare even some of the Sony cameras. With Canon, some of the mirrorless cameras, a misconception is that the live view is dark, depending on what Canon model you own. For example, the M series, I know a lot of photo booths still utilize the M series, whether it be an M50, whether it be an M6. The M series cameras, and maybe some of the newer T models that I'm not familiar with, they have a menu item that's called exposure simulation, that typically when you purchase it, it's on by default, right? What you want to do with the exposure simulation, ensure that that's off, right? And that will see whatever your lens is seeing. You're not simulating the exposure based on the camera thinking it has a strobe or a flash element attached to it. That is a very common question that we get off the support site, making sure exposure simulation in your camera settings are off. And most cameras, or most Canons, like the M series, I believe that's menu number 6. If you toggle into your menu settings to the number 6 tab, you'll see exposure simulation. Make sure that's off. As far as zoomed in, yes, not all cameras are perfect right now. I do know that some cameras have, and that's really going to depend on your lens that you have as well. So there's a lot of variables when using mirrorless or DSLR cameras. A lot of people, I would assume some people have the kit lens, but often than not, when I work support, I do see that people have different types of lenses. So without getting much information from your statement, I would encourage either open up a chat or email me. I'm going to drop my email, and then we can troubleshoot and get you where you need to be. But yeah, there's a lot of variables with cameras, and not all of them are one size fits all. So definitely, I'll put my email in here if you guys want to email me or have follow-up questions, or maybe just want to share some insight offline. By all means, try to get a hold of me, and I'll share it with the team, and we'll brainstorm. So I dropped my email. I see my partner Julian also dropped his email in the event that you guys have further questions. If you're not on the beta team, I encourage you guys to get on, right? Play with it. The transition is going to be a good transition. I'm happy to hear that we're going to have a period where users are still have the ability to use the old app, not forcing everybody just to a new app. And maybe that transition will stay there until you guys feel acclimated, but just know that it's not going to be there forever. We are migrating the system into a newer, faster, more powerful system. And we would like your input as far as making the system better, right? So we feel like we have a lot more flexibility with the user interface, live uploads, hopefully looking into business owners being able to look at their events live. Maybe you're dropping off a photo booth somewhere and you want to see what's going on, and making sure you adjust those camera configurations remotely. That's going to be such a powerful tool for business owners. So that's something that's in the limelight away. So just be patient with us, test it out, or keep using the old system for now, but eventually we are moving into the new system. So that's just the disclaimer I'm throwing out there. Any further questions? Anybody feel free to unmute.
I have something, just maybe a suggestion or a question. I don't know if many of y'all have dealt with lenticular printing, but like looking at y'all's, the GIF format and like how you can do like 1 or 2 or 3 GIFs or whatever. Is that ever something that y'all have talked about?
It's funny that you say that because lenticular printing has come up in the past. We have not revisited.
Well, I think you cut
Discussion
out.
between the development team. So I will drop that. I will drop that to them again and see where they are with those plans, because I really don't know what that's going to entail on the back end. But it
Gotcha.
has been a conversation that has been mentioned at least a few times that I can recall.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, my question was in the chat in regards to like a custom UI workflow. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Breeze or Darkroom Booth, where you can add a button and have that set as a variable, like a name or email or something like that, and have the output on the photo overlay. Is that something you guys can explore?
Definitely, Justin. And I'm very familiar with Breeze. Early on in my photo booth career, that's the software I started with. And I know exactly how powerful software is just in general. And definitely, I encourage you to email me that request, because I am taking notes, but I'd like to present these to the development team. And I do know that, we're working in the right direction, and these features are powerful features. I just don't have an answer for you if it's possible. Again, I don't know. I'm an end user as well. I don't know much about what it takes on the development side to make these a realization. But I think with users like yourself who are using more advanced features, I think this is something that we can bring back to the table to the developers and say, hey, there's a demand or a request for this. Can this be explored? And hopefully we can have an update for you soon.
Right. See, I don't use it. I just prospect. I look from afar, see what you guys are going through. So I'm catching up to like what you guys are updating now. I kind of caught the tail end of it. So I don't know what happened in the beginning, but I'm just trying to see where you guys are developing and how fast are you guys developing the new stuff that's out there. Because
Yeah,
I
so
have a lot of
development-wise,
trouble, finding the perfect thing.
yeah, and I think that is key. I think everybody has a unique workflow, and we're trying to meet the demands of the users, but also trying to simplify them to a degree. This video will be posted on YouTube. If you are in our groups, we will post a link to the YouTube. That way you can kind of get a recap. Our main intentions were to showcase what the user interface looks like.
Mm-hmm.
By releasing things and let it be foreign to them.
Okay. And the ability to freely move the icons, that's not something that's available, right? Like click and drag the icon somewhere, anywhere in the screen.
Yeah, so that's something that I just noticed, and I will be talking to the development team about fine-tuning the icons. It's still in beta mode. You're able to customize, you're able to resize them, you're able to change colors. It takes a PNG, but I think it's a big deal to be able to drop them where you want specifically.
Okay. And did you guys have a microsite where you can brand it out and find the gallery easily, delete images if you want to, like a way to manage that?
Yeah, so currently we do not have a microsite. That has also been in the plans. Sorry, I'm getting a delay. I gotta take off my AirPods. Getting a major delay, but that's also been in the plan. So these are feedbacks that are needed, and I'm glad that you're mentioning that, because I also feel that's a big area of improvement where we can definitely brand some of these microsites.
Yeah,
and have the flexibility for.
Yeah,
But-
because
but
I've been a
we-
user
but-
and all I had the ability to do was like download it and email it, whatever, that's it. Like there was no kind of call to action or anything I could
Correct.
do with it. So
call actions are definitely important, and we're going in that direction. It's not ready yet, but I know there's been some huge conversations regarding that. And and it takes users to request those features, right? We just haven't had a lot of those users approach it.
It's been a discussion because we brought it up as end users, but I do know that if I were to bring up these conversations again with the development team, it's something that can be explored further. Again, we are I think we are implementing new things at a rapid rate. The development team is working hard in many different areas, although it seems like we may be slower in certain areas, we're faster in other areas. Like, the AI has definitely improved. There's just different aspects of the app that are being focused on, which now I feel like we're getting to the point of releasing this new interface. Now more of the attention is going to be on the app itself. Like, we've been working with Androids, we've been working with mirrors, we've been working with our proprietary system of printing, not to mention animations, not to mention all the other features that go behind it with compatibility with Sony's and Canons and just regular cameras that are offered to the developer pack, because although these cameras are compatible, they need a little fine tuning on the app end to make sure that everything works fluidly.
Where are you with the Sony? Like, as far as video, is that even possible yet? Sony video
models. So
I'm sorry?
Sony video is something that's possible. Can you hear me, or am I breaking up again?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so Sony is possible. Video is possible right now, but it's only on the wireless format. So the video function is possible with certain model cameras, but the connection needs to be wireless. It's something that the development team has been working with Sony. They've been exchanging emails, and the last I heard, photos, it's there with the photos. You can use Sony camera with photos, but the videos is presenting some delays, and hopefully that can get resolved quick, because I'm also waiting for the video with Sony to be added as quickly as possible.
Because at some point that was an impossible task, and I know only DSLR Boost supports it on Windows. So that would be like a game-changing feature to have. You don't even know.
No, it is, and it is. I agree. I'm with you, man. I've been trying to push that development team with the Sonys for a while, but it's something that it's a work in progress. And you're right, it works with PC-based software, but it's not very friendly with iOS. So, and that's, I think everybody's kind of looking into these options. Yeah.
Great.
But I appreciate your input, Justin, man. I've seen you comment on some groups. I appreciate everybody's input, even Lizette's. I think it's not easy to comment in front of people. I get it, and especially when we're showing a new interface, it's not the most I'm not going to say friendly interface, but it's just not the right time to provide some opinions, because you guys are still digesting what was kind of presented. But I think there's a lot of you in this call that are experienced boothers, and I think we need more input from experienced boothers in real life situations, because we're trying to push in the direction where our app is one of the best iOS apps out there, but we can't really do it with active users, without active users like yourselves and providing that input.
Right. Like I said, I'm just looking, I'm noticing what's out there, but I have a whole laundry list, so I don't want to bore you with it. But
No worries, man. Just shoot me an email. You got my email in the chat. Shoot me an email, man. I'll make sure that all those questions. This goes for anybody, not just Justin. Shoot me an email with some desires, something that you'd like to see, and I'm going to present these to the development team, and I can provide an update at the next webinar to see what feedback I got from them.
all right, sounds good. I'll do that.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Anybody else have questions regarding the interface? All right. If there's no more questions, I'm going to conclude today's just preview. I'm just going to call it a preview of our new user interface. Like I said, we're still in beta. It is June 20th, 2024. We expect this hopefully to have a release towards the end of July. Again, it's tentative. There's going to be a bridging process where people are going to be able to revert to the old app before committing to the new one. Just in the event that, you know, something is not working to your liking, you can always revert back to the full working app. Don't know how long that's going to go again. So I encourage everybody, as soon as it gets released, play with it and give us some input, some advice, some pointers on what you feel it needs for your workflow. Again, it's a very powerful interface, and I just encourage everybody to start playing with the Touchpix customization, making it your own. And we're hoping that you present a more professional booth out there, specifically in trying to secure these corporate clients, because it's all about branding. It's all about the cleanliness of the interface and how it looks, the data that it collects, the microsites, hopefully, that we can get implemented in the near future, and kind of go from there. Julian, you have anything you want to add?
No, you already said, you know, when this is going to live, please play with the app. Don't wait until the last minute to create an event. Go and test and try, you know, because the app maybe will look a little bit different, but it's almost the same, you know. The functions and the words in the menus are almost the same, but it's, you know, it's in a different way to present it. So please, if you are interested to join the beta, send us an email and we will try to get you involved. Okay, and we'll be here when this is going to be live. So any questions, any concerns, we will be there. Okay.
All right, everybody, have a great night, and I hope you guys have eventful weekends. If you guys need any help, always feel free to go to the touchpix.com webpage, hit the support chat. We take pride in our 24-hour support that we offer in various different languages, whether it's English, Spanish, Portuguese. It seems like we have a lot of them covered. So definitely explore these new options, but have a great night, and just let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. Again, my name is DJ, my co-host Julian. We dropped our emails in the chat. Just shoot us an email. Give us your thoughts. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
See you. Thank you.